Welcome back. You're still watching Trading Hour, and Jigar Mistry, co-founder at Buoyant Capital, joins us now to discuss the market fundamentals. Hi, Jigar. Good morning. This is Pavitra. I want to begin by asking you about some of these stocks that you've mentioned. Let me start with the fluorochem space. It is up around 200% now this year. Do you still like this space? Do you think a bunch of the gains are already in, or do you feel like there's more to go here?
Hi, good morning, Pavitra. So yeah, one of the names, I think this is one company that we have owned for many, many years. And it's an interesting name within the fluorination complex, right? So its market share in India, is close to 35%, second only to SRF. And whereas, its PTFE market share is close to 11% in the world. Now, refrigeration gas and chloromethanes is something like a stable business for them. But the growth in this space will be driven by, PTFE, reasonably good caustic soda prices, as well as the specialty chemical and the new fluorination fluoropolymers. So I think, looking at something like 700 odd crore EBITDA becoming 1,000 odd crores now this year, and maybe 15 odd 100 crores next year. So that is a very interesting space. I think if you look at a lot of companies in this space, likes of Navin Fluorine, SRF, they've done fairly well. Gujarat Fluorochem also over the last year has done fairly well. But, for example, at half or less than half the EBITDA, the market cap for Fluorochem and Navin Fluorine is almost similar. So yeah, it's an interesting space to be in. It's been a reasonably good investment for the last 3 or 4 years for us, but we think it continues to be very interesting.
It's done well, and it continues to do well from here as well. Jigar, hi, good morning. Good to see you back on the show. Welspun India is another name that you like. I don't think we've spoken about this, if we have not in any great detail. Tell us, why do you like it?
Yeah, so we have spoken a few sort of, the reopening trades, and within those we have discussed likes of IRCTC, United Spirits in the past. I think the textiles theme sort of fits in reasonably well with both these, right? So you have a reasonably large exporter with a lot of industry level macros not adding up over the last year or so. So, you look at the rupee, basically that has been fairly stable, not depreciating. The cotton prices are up. Import duty has been levied on some of the cotton that is imported into India. And, Welspun in particular had some company-specific issues as well. We think most of them are now getting addressed. The duty drawback, which in this case is called ROSCTL, that also has been addressed for the last 3.5 years. So the business as usual should be fairly good going forward. If the duty sort of with the European Union gets addressed, then that's a sort of additional benefit. That's not the base case scenario. But even here, you're looking at a good 20-30% growth in EBITDA this year. And for Welspun India in particular, if their tile business sort of pans out well, then even more in the next couple of years or so. So trading at like 13,000 crore market cap, we think the EBITDA could be close to 2,000 crores next year.
Jigar, talking about unlocking themes, it's IRCTC which has done the best. I know we've spoken about it in the past. It's a ticketing platform. There is that unlock taking place. We've seen aviation companies do well. Travel will also pick up, not just a need-based, but leisure-based. But even then, it hit 4,000 last week. Issue price was 320. What are the other triggers for IRCTC from here on? What is the street pricing in or expecting from the company at these valuations?
Yeah, hi Rima. So yeah, a lot of sort of levers that could play through, right? And you've seen that with these companies, the optionality is a huge added benefit. So let's look at, say, Make My Trip, right? I haven't really checked off it, but that used to be a $3 billion market. Now, companies like Paytm, etc., have to literally pay customers to come on their app or website. For IRCTC, you get a huge number of people coming on their website because of the monopoly, and you can sort of cross leverage that and sell it to a multiple number of businesses. So they've started booking buses, cruises, airline tickets. So that is one part of it. A cross-sell opportunity is huge. Secondly, I think there was some amount of news media covering where they said that currently the ticketing is done on a per PNR basis. That can be moved to a lot of per passenger basis, and that sort of brings a lot of upside. And thirdly, maybe this hasn't been discussed, and maybe this is my own personal sort of thought process here. That come to think of it, this company also has developed a payment gateway, right? Now, if you look at a lot of the BillDesk valuations that happened, BillDesk got sold at, I think, closer to $5 billion. Now, if the government can sort of look at a mechanism to use IRCTC's payment gateway a lot better, maybe use it for some of the services to start with and extend it to a lot more, then it will be one of those PSUs doing a lot of government transactions. So with a lot of this platform plays, there is one part of the earning, right? So earning is growing from 600 crore to 1,000 crores in the next year or so. But even other than that, the optionalities are immense. So, the stock could keep surprising one the months and years to come.
Okay, another stock which has done quite well in recent times, in the past 6 months or so, is Rupa Industries. Can you tell us what you think about that, and would you be willing to put in some fresh money into a stock like Rupa?
Yeah, that's quite an interesting play as well. So, historically speaking, these companies in this space have done fairly well. Now, Rupa as well has, a lot of this in-licensed brands that makes it very interesting. I think the French connection is something that they have got. They've got a couple more, and their in-house brands are doing fairly good as well. Now, this company's earnings have lagged the likes of better run companies. So, likes of Dollar or even PAG, and those names have done fairly good. So we are still evaluating. We are looking at this company very seriously, but it sounds like a very interesting space to be in.
Okay, still not put the money to work as far as Rupa is concerned, but interesting, as you said, to look at this. Jigar, you've sort of spoken quite a bit about Vedanta in the past. I mean, it's a business with, things in fingers and lots of pies, right? I mean, there's aluminum, there's zinc, there's nickel, there's oil, there's copper. It's a conglomerate in that sense. You still like it, and are there any triggers near term for upsides to play out here?
Yeah, Prashant. So, you see, aluminium is a commodity we are very interested in. And, we put out a piece a couple of weeks back, I think, where we highlighted that if you're looking at the growth of specialty chemicals over the last decade, then a similar story is playing out with aluminum as well, right? So aluminum, China never had any business to be in that space. It, used to import bauxite, it used to import alumina, it used to import coal to make power. And then they used to export aluminum because they were building out the nation. So I can speculate that they probably thought that Chalco or Hongqiao losing $1 billion a year is still lesser than the cost I would have incurred had I imported aluminum in the first place. So I think now they've realized that incrementally it's not making sense. We have made whatever infrastructure development that we needed to do. And going forward, we are happier vacating this place, call it, ESG, call it pollution under control, call it bluer skies before Olympics hit. But if China is vacating this place, then, aluminium prices need to be a lot higher. I remember the time when Vedanta was they were working with a $3,000 as the base price. Now it hit $3,000 and that made it a 20-year high sort of a number. So, that space is interesting even now, even today, for example, when you're looking at iron ore prices being down, which makes logical sense to us because China is not going to produce more steel. So they won't be needing as much iron ore, but aluminium is still interesting and it hasn't fallen. It's still 28.50 if I checked it a couple of hours ago or so. So that space is interesting. Within that space, you can have your pick, Hindalco or Vedanta. Vedanta is interesting because eventually we think, the parent, which is the UK company, needs to deleverage. And eventually all sort of actions would be geared towards that. So you can see a reasonably strong dividend outflow out of Vedanta over the next 2.5, 3 years as well. So, yeah, I think take your pick. Aluminium is one commodity that we think one should be invested in.
Jigar, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts. Aluminium, textiles, Gujarat Fluorochem, IRCTC, lots of individual names Jigar spoke about. We need to slip into a very short break, but before that, here is something